different parts of that. Restrepo is, kind of about, the day-to-day boredom and futility of war, while the Tillman story is about kind of the political motivations and what really goes on behind the scenes of war. And I think that's what makes them so great together, is that they're two films that explore these, like, the totally opposing sides of the war, and to watch them together is just very affecting. I know it was for me, at least. And I think another thing that really makes these documentaries really interesting is, even though they explore very big topics, they're both films are very kind of they feel very kind of modest and humble about the way they go about telling these stories. And even though I do think Restrepo is the more interesting film, that's my favorite of the two. I think they're both very, very just interesting films about the war in the Middle East. And if you have any interest in either documentaries or the war, I think these are definitely great films to check out. They're in limited release right now. I don't know how easy it is to check them out, but if either of them is playing close to where you are, I strongly urge you to go check these films out because they are incredible. Restrepo was in my top 10 of the year. I'd actually recommend that one more than the other because Restrepo it's a really bizarre movie. I mean, it's almost kind of a comedy at times because I think what's so amazing about it is there's literally no action in the film. Like, literally, like, the catharsis of action in the movie is like guns being shot. You never see anyone killed. You never even hear about, well, you do hear about someone killed, but you never, like, basically the only reason the movie is for the swearing. And the movie is just literally about these guys just kind of hanging out in the Korengal Valley doing absolutely nothing. And what makes the film even more kind of effective is at the end there's a subtitle that says, 6 months ago the U.S. decided to pull out of the Korengal Valley. So essentially, all what these guys did, just kind of, get bored and hang out over there, was all for nothing. And I'm sorry, I'm going way too into this, but both of these documentaries, Restrepo and the Tillman Story, are, excellent, excellent films, and I'd recommend you check both of them out. I think they're a really great double feature, actually, even though you'll probably never have the opportunity to see them as a double feature except on DVD. But anyway, yes, that's my piece on those movies.
Hooray! I'm going to talk about a movie that I feel is one of the most underrated, possible voice.
Nah, ha, ha, God, gets
he
you
has
back.
gotten his revenge. Yep. But anyway, I feel this is one of the most underrated movies of all time. It is actually a Steven Spielberg movie. And you don't often hear Steven Spielberg again underrated in the same sentence. But anyway, I'm going to talk about his 2001 movie, A.I. Artificial Intelligence. Now, this movie, it's Stanley Kubrick. This was his concept. He had written the screenplay to this movie, and he actually was intending to direct it. But then he realized that the sensibilities and kind of the tone of the movie was much more similar to that of his friend Steven Spielberg's than his. And then Kubrick died, and so Spielberg decided to do it out of tribute to his friend. To his dead friend. So AI, artificial intelligence, it's set in a future where, greenhouse gases and melting ice caps have basically gotten the best of the environment, and now humans are kind of located in the center of their respective continents, in this movie's case, America. So this movie, it's about at the outset, it's about a couple named Henry and Monica, who their son, it's not really explained in the movie, but he has an illness, and he's being he's just out of the picture, basically. And so they decide, and this is in the future where robots have been developed called mechas, who look like humans, act like humans, but they can't feel like humans. And a new line is introduced where basically the object of these robots is to provide human companionship. And so Henry and Monica decide to get one of these. And his name is David, and he was played by Haley Joel Osment, who was, if you don't know, the kid in The Sixth Sense. He plays obviously a mecha named David. And David has been designed to love and care for Monica. And due to a chain of events that I'm not really going to reveal, David is basically thrust out into the world. And it is at this point that you really realize, how crazy the world has gotten, just how completely it's gone to shit. It's just crazy, basically. David sets out with another mecha named Gigolo Joe, who does, what his title would suggest, played by Jude Law. And basically, they search for a way to try and make David a real boy. Now, judging from this plot synopsis, you would probably think that this movie is way more sappy and sentimental than it actually is.
And it actually is that sappy and sentimental,
in fact,
just to let you know.
In many ways, this is Spielberg's most grim movie. Like, screw Munich, where a guy completely loses his mind due to guilt. Screw Schindler's List. This is, in a lot of ways, his most dark and depressing movie, if you look at it in a certain way. I'm not going to give anything away, but the last 20 minutes are, like, some of the most, like, polarizing 20 minutes, like, cinema has ever put out. Like, either you would adore it and think it perfectly fits in with the rest of the film like I do, or, you hate it like Ivan here. And this movie it kind of hinges on the last 20 minutes whether or not it works for you. Obviously, it works for me. Wow, I haven't even talked about the rest of the movie. Okay, this movie is kind of brilliant in a lot of ways. It's a much more grim version. It's kind of a retelling of Pinocchio, but imagine that with, like, an ending where Pinocchio might possibly be dead and set in the future. That's basically the best I can put it. And it might be one of my favorite Spielberg movies. This movie just explores like a darker side, to the world, and I think Spielberg had really done to a large extent before. I think, damn. Once again, I've completely lost my train of thought.
He does this a lot.
Huh?
He loses his train of thought a lot, just saying.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So, anyway, AI, artificial intelligence, cool noodle, one of my favorite movies of the 2000s. Check it out if you haven't. Brilliant movie. Huh.
Yep, okay. Alright, well, I will try to get over my loathing for AI and discuss the other film which I watched this week, which is a new release that came out on Wednesday. It's the Anton Corbijn film, The American. Now, The American stars George Clooney about this hitman guy. I actually read an article recently. I mean, okay, just a quick little, tangent. There are so many movies about these, contract killers and hitmen that are, really serious, like this one. But do these people actually exist? I don't think so. But anyway, alright, so The American stars George Clooney, who's this, gun craftsman / assassin. And, yeah, he has some beef with, the Swedes or something, because he shot some people and shit. So he goes out to hide out in Italy and quietly do a job where basically all he does is make a gun for this female assassin. And the film is just about him kind of chilling in Italy with this priest and this whore and, this gun that he's making and the woman he's making the gun for. And, yeah, it's just kind of a character piece on this guy. Now, this film has been getting very mixed reviews. I mean, a lot of people are calling it uneventful, boring, and just kind of pointless overall, and that's because, guess what? This is an art movie! Yay! An art movie with George Clooney. And here's the thing I find kind of funny and amusing about all this. If this movie was in black and white, if it was Italian, and was released in the 60s, critics would just suck this movie's dick. However, it is in color, it is released in the year 2010, and it stars George Clooney. Therefore, they can't do that, because this is apparently, a big movie. But this is very much an art film. It puzzles me that this movie got a wide release. I just can't understand that, because this is a film that, kind of the main audience is just not going to, I don't want to say not going to get it, but just not going to like. Because this movie is a slow burn, dramatic character study of kind of a man conflicted between his job and, kind of the moral implications of his job. And this movie is being compared a lot to The Samurai, which is one of my favorite films of all time. And that's what really intrigued me about this, that it was getting those comparisons. So, I checked it out, and it is very similar to The Samurai, and I think it is close to being as great as The Samurai. I absolutely adore this film. It's an extremely subtle film. This is very much a visual film, because it's just all about the visual storytelling. There are so many little visual touches and scenes in this movie that really enhance kind of the emotional resonance of what comes